Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this video, I have for you game 2 of a best of 3 between URI and Mimile in the semi-finals of the Division 1 Season 10 playoffs of the Star Division 2 League. Today, they are playing on Slutsk West, and on our left in the red team, playing on the Axis side, we have URI TANNER, using the 26th Panzer and the Maverick deployment type. And on our right, in the blue team, also on the Axis side, we have Mimile, using the 352nd Infantry and the Maverick deployment type. Apologies that it is a Axis versus Axis matchup. I know some of you guys aren't a massive fan of that. Now, before we move on today, I just wanted to mention that if you are interested in getting involved in tournaments for Still Division, Hobotango is going to be running one very shortly. I'll make sure to leave the link to all of the information in the description. He's going to be doing kind of a unique rule set that requires the makeup of the divisions to be made in a certain way. It's really cool, definitely worth checking out. I'll also try and leave it in the pinned comment, so yeah, check that out. So here we have 26th Panzer versus 352nd. 352nd is actually a kind of interesting division to see in a 1v1. It's not one that you see all that often, but on a map such as Slutsk West, it can have its value in that it has IG-33s, it's got Jagd Panthers, it's got Nebelwerfers, it's got some decent aircraft that it can use to support, but it kind of lacks like numbers in all of those areas, and so that can be something that URI can break down with his 26th Panzer. And 26th Panzer, one of the fantastic divisions that came with the Italian DLC, has access to Panthers, has access to the Stug M43, which is a really cool unit. It comes in the AT tab. It's basically like a naval gun fitted on a tank hull. It's got the FAMOs, which are the portable 88s. Very cool. Let's have a quick look at what's going down here. So on the left side here for URI TANNER, he's got some Beretta with the Ersatztruppen, the Flammenwerfer, MG42, Pak 40, Panzergrens, and SDK Z71. He's got a Jagdpanzer, Panzergren for the mid, Ersatztruppen, Beretta moving into the town, and a bunch of units heading to the bottom side here. That's going to be Ersatz, Stostrup, Flammenwerfer, Beobachter, and another Jagdpanzer going to be covering the road. On the side of Mimile, we see the Ersatztruppen heading to the top side with the B2. There's going to be some Flammenwerfer with the MG42, Pak 38, Sicherungs, and the SBW 204 CDM. Aufklarer, Ersatztruppen for the center to hold the open ground. Stostrup moving into the town here with the SBW 204 Ersatztruppen looking to get a little bit of ground onto the hill actually early on. Flammenwerfer trying to push where the Beobachter are. And on the bottom side here, a large contingent of infantry for Mimile going to be trying to take control of this little town with the help of the Marder 3 and the Panzer 39. So Flammenwerfer moving in actually gets taken out by the Beobachter, so very nice. SPW 204 going to get caught out by the Pak 40, and that's going to be swiftly dealt with, although the Pak 40 using APCR in this case, so not quite dealing enough damage to get the job done. Recon plane gets shot down by the SDK Z71 early on. We're going to be seeing a Ju-87 coming out from TANNER here, looking for the MG42 kill, as it has revealed itself. So, pretty good start for Mimile, I would say. He's managed to get quite a lot of ground. Looking to contest his bottom side is very smart. This is a flag that's very difficult to contest after the beginning of the game, because neither really has a road that goes directly there. Oh, here comes the bomber. Takes out the Gren. Nicely done. PF-109 G6R4 came in to try and help kill the Ju-87D5, but looks like might actually get shot down. That is a big loss actually early on for Mimile, because it's going to really open up the air for the Ju-87 until he purchases AA, and losing the points investment into that fighter means he now has to invest even more into AA, and that is something that he probably didn't want to do. Panzer 39 going to be going down to the Jagdpanzer out in the open. These Jagdpanzers are actually incredibly difficult for Mimile to deal with until Jagdpanthers arrive, or the Pak 43s. But he's going to have to wait for the points to bring those in. He does have a Jagdpanther available in Phase A in his deck, so we might see it come out early on, because he will definitely need it to break down the Jagdpanzer, because even a Pack 40 might struggle at range. Ersatztruppen under threat from the half-track here. They can't really do anything about it unless they get within range to throw their open-top grenades. TANNER actually has to be a bit careful that he doesn't let Mimile just do that, because the half-track also can't fire its machine gun within 100 meter range. So yeah, Ersatztruppen actually going to be able to find the kill there. And that's actually a bit of a mistake by TANNER, because it's going to leave Mimile in this position, pushing the front line in the center of the map. Meanwhile, MG42, that wasn't killed off by the Ju-87, now actually going to get the kill onto the Pack 40. MG42 taken out by the SPW-204. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, the HS-129B3 going to be the choice of unit to deal with the Jagdpanzer. He is managing to find the kill there. Also looking for the Beerbach, that cheeky little extra kill on the side. Nicely done. Very good. The HS-129B3 having a solid amount of penetration. 175 millimeters. Starts firing at 1,500 meter range with 75% accuracy. It's actually a really, really good plane. The only issue, of course, is that it is a bit slow. So enemy fighters could come in and try and exploit that. And of course the 26th Panzer does get the Sagittario, which is a very nice like fighter plane. Actually probably one of the best in the game. Jagdpanzer forcing back the Ersatztruppen will relinquish this flag most likely if URI TANNER decides to push forwards himself. It doesn't look like he's even going to need to, as the Ersatztruppen continue to fall back. Here comes a Sagittario looking for the kill. Onto the HS-129, you can see even in that short amount of time how much damage this did due to its 3 20 mils. It does have 600 km/h speed, but I think that HS-129 maybe is just far enough away to get out of there in time. We'll have to wait and see. It's very, very close. HS-129 taking its sweet time, is not going to get out. Lovely stuff from URI TANNER, exploiting the use of those very, very good fighter aircraft. And now he can also use those to strafe. 320 mils is extremely deadly for infantry. In this case, Mimile hitting that fallback button as soon as possible to reduce the amount of incoming damage. On this bottom side, Ersatztruppen, pushing forwards very aggressively. The 2 units that URI TANNER placed on this bottom side early on, he's trying to keep them safe. Not trying to waste them into the abundance of infantry that Mimile has. Nice unit preservation, waiting for the Panzer III to come in and help deal with some of these vehicles. Meanwhile, we've got a Ju-87 now on its way. Going to be looking to break down some of the infantry that Mimile is pushing forwards in the town. So far, things in terms of flags have stayed relatively even, and I would say the kills have definitely been back and forth, particularly when it came down to the air play. Here comes the bomber. Does manage to find the Stostrup kill. Still plenty of infantry here for Mimile to be comfortable. Now the Ersatztruppen finding their way over to the Stostrup Beretta. And that is a matchup they will never win. 6 Berettas versus 9 men with Kar-98s and MP40. And these Berettas are some of the best, if not the best, submachine gun in the game. And so we'll do a ton of damage to these units at close range. But one thing that Ersatztruppen has done is used up both of the Molotovs that the Stostrup Beretta have, whilst the normal Stostrup of Mimile still have both of their Molotovs, which may give them a huge advantage in this upcoming engagement, because the Stostrup on the move are going to take tons of damage from the submachine guns, whilst the Stostrup here maintained their entrenchment bonus. When a unit has not moved for a certain amount of time, it does get an entrenchment bonus. That's it, particularly infantry I'm talking about. And you can use that to get really, really solid engagements if you're playing on the defense. As soon as you move, you lose that bonus, so bear that in mind. But manages to clean up both of those units, and now just going to maintain control on this bottom side. It's going to take URI a lot of work to get this back. He's bringing in an Aufklärer Panzer III and a Panzer IIIL. He's got the Ersatztruppen on the way. But none of this so far is convincing to get into this town. He would need something like a Grida and some decent long-range infantry to provide fire support whilst he pushes forwards with his ersatz. Mimile now bringing in the IG-33. On the top side here, the SDK Z7-2, I think maybe showed itself briefly to the fighter that Yuri brought in. Yuri's got to be a bit careful bringing in those fighters because he doesn't want to have to force himself to pay for a second. Every time he brings that in, it's got to recharge, right? It's got to refuel, it's got to rearm if it used any of its ammo, and that gives a little bit of a window for Mimile to invest in HS-129 again and get more kills on the ground, especially since there's not too much AA on this bottom side. There is the SDK Z71 on the top side, of course, so that would prevent HS-129 from being effective. But yeah, you got to be really, really careful amongst like the top players here of like bringing in stuff unnecessarily, particularly when it comes to like fighters. IG-33. Going to be hitting the Ersatztruppen there with the MG42. Now Ju-87 coming in for the bombing strike onto the IG-33. Getting rid of those IGs, since he's seen them in A, is actually super important. Because if they come in phase A, he's only going to have 3 of them. And they are probably the best ranged HE projection that Mimile has. So taking them out is very, very nice. Ju-87 is going to pay for it as the Bf-109 G6R4 comes in. But now the Sagittario was looking to get on the back of the Bf-109 G6R4. But since the SDK Z7-2 is now in play, Sagittario going to be leaving the Bf-109 in the dust as it zooms home. So now the Panzer III engaging the Ersatztruppen here. Things have slowed down in the town. Jagdpanther, finally on the field, is starting to damage some of the infantry in the center. And on the top side, neither player really vying for much control here. Mimile happy to sit with his flag on that side. Oh, Bf-109 G8 actually coming in. Will its machine guns be enough to get the kill? It is. Very nicely done. This thing has 610 km/h speed, so that Bf-109 wasn't getting away unless the SDK Z7-2 could force it back quick enough. Unfortunately not in this case, so Mimile losing another of his fighters. And he's going to definitely be limited. That's both of his air-to-air fighters taken out already. Now he's only got the Bf-109 G2 BR-21s available for the rest of the game. So that's going to make him almost solely focused on using AA to get the job done. But here we have the Slutsk M43 facing off against the Jagdpanther. Now if there's one unit in this game that can take out a Jagdpanther, it is the M43, which is the naval gun that I was talking about on its tank hull. There is of course also the Panthers that could be a problem later on, but the Jagdpanther actually much more reliable at penetrating both of those units at range with its 230mm of penetration. Pak 40 has found a shot onto the Panzer B2 but doesn't get the hit. Meanwhile on the bottom, it looks like the Ersatztruppen, with the help of the Panzer IIIs, have cleaned out some of the infantry here. Now it's the Sicherungs, the Ersatztruppen, that are holding the ground for Mimile, with the Panzer 39 and the SPW 204. The 2 Panzer IIIs should be able to clean up most of this on the bottom side. Unless Mimile can maybe get over with the Marder 3, the Pak 38 can potentially provide fire support from that tree line. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile on the top, URI TANNER is starting to push forwards. The Panzerschreck has however been spotted. The MG42 also almost taking out the Pak 40 once again here. Yeah, this infantry not able to make much ground as long as that SPW 204 is seeing them coming. Slutsk M43 does get a nice amount of damage done to the MG42 there. We're now seeing URI TANNER trying to take advantage of the 81mm mortar to kill the Pak 38 before he pushes through with his Panzer IIIs. Now they're going to push forwards. The SPW 204 is going to be the first target here. Getting rid of that so it can't provide its HE machine gun fire onto the Ersatztruppen is going to be super important. Panzerschreck also arriving to try and help out with that. but these Panzers should be able to do the job, although they will be firing APCR, so they might not get the job done as quickly as they would like. A penetrating shot already managed to get into the Panzer III end there, and if one of those, just one of those, had the APCR turned off, it wouldn't have been a trade, that would have just been a straight up kill onto the SPW-204. So a little bit of a mistake, I would say, from Tanner, trading the SPW-204 for the Panzer III recon unnecessarily. Citadungs might pick up a free Panzer Grand kill, not quite, it looks like. Nebelwerfer on the way, here we go. So the 352nd, it is one of those divisions that does get access to these beautiful Nebelwerfer 41s. And he's bringing them in with these multi-ammunition trucks so that he can fire, reload into the truck as soon as possible, and redeploy them before they get hit by counter battery. In this case, URI Tanner doesn't really have anything to counter battery with just yet, but in future he might. So it's a good practice to make sure you move your Nebelwerfers after every strike. This Ju-87 actually getting shot down by the combination of the SDK-Z72 and the Flak 41. 81mm mortar trying to prevent that from happening by pinning the SDK-Z72. Almost got the kill as well, but not quite. Panzer 39 actually going to be very, very difficult for the Ersatztruppen to deal with. That's why URI Tanner has brought the Panzerschreck with him. Just needs to make sure that Panzerschreck doesn't get picked off by another infantry squad, because that could be really, really bad news. Meanwhile, in the centre, the Jagdpanther actually ran out of HE, so that's not able to stop that Ersatztruppen in the open. Instead, that's being left up to the Flak 41. But this bot side push, developing very nicely here for Tanner right now. He's actually fallen back with the Panzerschreck as the Marder 3 gets shots on target. That is going to delay the time it takes for him to kill the Panzer 39, but the Panzer 3 should also be able to get the job done. Kubel MG, following the Panzer 3 here, is going to be spotting the Auftaler. Here we have the engagement between the Panzer 3 and the Panzer 39, and the APCR shot coming in there, getting the kill. Now we have the SDKFZ 259s coming in for support, and that will make short work of any Ersatztruppen to the left. The Citadungs, though, might have a chance to kill those off with their Granatbuchse. We've got Pack 40 now on the side of Mimile. Let's try and cut down some of this armor. So in the first game, a very decisive victory from Mimile. This time around, URI Tanner not exposing so much of his armor to easy kills, so it's a lot more competitive, and so far so good. But Mimile is holding that 13th flag and finding himself those extra tickets early on, and that's going to be something that Tanner's going to want to stop at some point. Otherwise, it's going to make it very difficult for him to win in time. Panzer B2 engaging the Stug M42s on the top side. These Stug M42s have incredible rate of fire and are able to leverage that to kill the Panzer B2. Fighter coming over there, forced back by the AA. But check out the Grenadier here, and the Citadungs just dismantling a lot of that infantry, including the Panzerschreck. So very nicely done. The 259s here now looking to find and kill any infantry remaining on this bottom side. They have spotted the Grenadiers before they got in range of the Panzerfaust, so that's pretty important. Going to allow the 259s to kill them off before they are under threat themselves. Panzerschreck maybe doesn't need to be very aggressive anymore because there's not any armor left to kill. But of course Tanner might not know that. For all he knows, there could be another tank hiding in the back gardens here. With the Citadungs coming in with a Granatbuchse, starting to get shots on target. That's the first 259 going down. Grenadiers are going to want to fall back. They get taken out very quickly by the 20 mils. Now the Citadungs, another Grenadier with Panzerfaust coming up. Flammenwerfer on its way to potentially contest the Ersatz and enemy Flammenwerfer. See the Nebelwerfers on the top side actually waiting with return fire orders on them. He's waiting to actually get eyes on things before firing those. But the 81mm mortars have stacked up here, and they've taken out the first of those 88s. So very, very nice kill there. Now these mortars, the radio mortars in large numbers, can be extremely obnoxious and hard to deal with, because after you fire them, you can move them every time, and that will make them almost impossible to counter battery, whilst they continue to provide extremely accurate mortar fire support due to their radios. So that is something that Mimile's going to have to find a solution for. There is a world where the Nebelwerfers could be a great counter to these radio mortars, but at the moment TANNER are exploiting those on this bottom side where the Nebelwerfers are not. And whilst these Nebelwerfers did eventually fire at these positions, it doesn't look like too much damage was done. It did, of course, pin down a bunch of these units, but it's not a place where Mimile is really pushing right now. He's just defending. But the Pak-38 taking out the Slutsk is a really, really good start, and will also be able to get a shot into the 259. So good job cleaning up a lot of that armor, but not going to make himself any ground. Just hold on to the ground that he already had. Now this is quite important in Steel Division. Having the momentum in a game is actually crucial in a game like this, because whilst he, did get a lot of kills here, he's not gaining ground, and it's not so important at this stage because Mimile is ahead in tickets. But as a general rule of thumb, you do kind of want to be on the offense when you are using things like Nebelwerfers or off-map in order to take advantage of where they land. On the bottom side, we do see the investment into the LEFH 105 mils. I'm really not a personal fan of 105mm artillery, but in this case it looks like he's going to be trying to use it to soften up some of the defensive positions of TANNER so that he can then bring in his own push. He's got some Panzer 39s and a B2 heading to that top side, IG-18, also a Batty Fjorda there, with the Slutsk and the SDZ-71. So there is a significant number of forces up here, but it's not anything that is particularly fast at pushing that can take advantage of the use of the Nebelwerfers or even the artillery. So TANNER really starting to build up a huge amount of forces. He's got a wall of M42 75-34s with the Jagdpanzer behind it. Doesn't have to worry about the 88 in position there because that got mortared. And now slowly pushing through the town with his Stoßtreppe, with his Panzergrenz, and his mortar even managing to dismount some Sturm Pioneers early, which might actually be really detrimental because the units here are going to dismantle all of this line infantry, the Grenadiers, the Citadons, before the Stoßtruppe Sturm Pioneers really properly get involved. The Stoßtruppe here, unfortunately without cover, are going to get pinned down and taken out very quickly. Sturm Pioneer being the one decent infantry unit left there to do any work. On the bottom side, the Grenadier Citadons did recover, and Mimile took advantage of that. Now setting up for another couple of Nebelwerfer strikes onto the same positions as before. This is interesting because I'm not sure what the plan is with these Nebelwerfer strikes. He managed to kill the MG42 there, but it was already low on health. I would much rather see him use these Nebelwerfers to target things such as like this Panther leader, the Stug M43, any sort of light vehicles like the 259s if they're bunched up, potentially AA, so that he can use his BF-109 rocket planes or his HS-129s. That personally would make more sense for the use of the Nebelwerfers, if he's not going to follow up a push with them, which in both cases so far he really hasn't. He's trying to move across the open here with the Ersatztruppen, but it's just really not working out for him. Pak-38 on the top side here is going to be able to get shots onto the Panzer III, but Mimile also losing a tank of his own. We see another Sturm Pioneer coming up into the town. It's going to get shot at by the M42s, although was it the mortar there that maybe clipped that? Regardless, the Sturm Pioneers get completely killed, and with that mortar strike coming out, the second squad of Sturm Pioneers that was already there is going to get surrendered. So TANNER taking complete control of this town now, and starting to work again on breaking open the bottom side. Nice use of smoke from the Sturm Pioneers to make sure that they don't get taken out. Meanwhile, the Nebelwerfers are ready to go again. And this time, probably going to immediately fire onto where the Pak 40 is. This is a nice kill. Pak 40 is a good target for a Nebelwerfer. And like I said before, soften up some of this armor. Even if you don't kill the Panther or the Panzer III in this case, it allows the Jagdpanther to one-shot them if they are already slightly damaged. So the Pak 40 goes down. The Panzer III actually taking a direct hit there from the Nebelwerfer. Panzer 39 on the top side actually making some decent ground. But a large blob of armor is going to be heading back in the direction of Mimile. Stug 3 looking for the kill onto the Panzer 3 there. B2 now coming up to provide support with the Sturmpioneers and Grenz. Now the Stug here can just get in line of sight of this road and will start taking shots at the Panzer 3. Panzer 3 will struggle to penetrate without APCR. So it does get taken out after bouncing itself, but this Stug 3, oh, finding the kill onto the Jagdpanzer 4, and then going down itself. Killing a Jagdpanzer, always very nice. And TANNER, he's only got 3 of those. We've seen 2 of them die, so the last one here on the top side. Sitzerungs coming in. Sitzerungs are actually really scary for these kinds of units. Because Panzer IIIs, Stug M42s, 259s can all be killed by Sitzerungs. Because that Granatbuchse, it's a heat round. Which means that it will almost always penetrate anything higher than its number. Pioneer gonna get taken out. And by its penetration number is what I meant as well. Anyway, 105 gets a nice shot there. And the last of the armor getting taken out. There's one half track remaining with the Stug 3 and the B2 engaging. That goes down as well. Sturmpioneer might be able to get the better of the Panzergrenz at close range, but those are 2 Vet Panzergrenz. They are going to be relatively resilient. Nebelwerfers looking to aim once again, this time actually focusing on the mortars. That's what I like to see. If he manages to get hits onto the mortars, that would be absolutely huge. Sitzerungs here. Looks like they managed to get the better of the M42 and one of the 259s, but forced back after taking a lot of suppression from the Jagdpanzer and the remaining armor. Oh, but here comes the Grenadier. Nicely done. 2 Panzerfaust, 2 kills. That's what you like to see. Here go the Nebelwerfers. Oh, this could be big. But TANNER has noticed just in time. Fantastic reaction. And for the rest of the game, I expect that TANNER will not be leaving them idle, as he does not want to lose them to the 150mm Nebels. SDK-Z7 does go down here. I'm not sure if it was carrying anything when it died. I don't think it probably was. Jagdpanther looking for the kill onto the Grille, but in the middle, just a standoff really at the moment. But 12 to 12. Still in favour of Mimile in terms of tickets. It's really up to TANNER to find space on this map and get himself a 13-11 going. Pak 38 in the meanwhile, taking care of one of the Stug M42s, looking for the second. Actually ends up bouncing. These Stug M42s have really good HE, but not going to be enough. It's still going to die. That's a trade. Pak 38 for M42. Wolf 190 coming in for the bombing strike onto the Grenadiers. Do manage to take them down to a single man. 259 is primed to clean up the rest of the infantry on this bottom side. Just got to be careful of the Stug 3, B2. Otherwise, the control of that bottom side will be completely under Mimile once again. Here come the Sitzerungs. Looking to find and kill more of the light armor, I imagine, and the enemy tanks. One of them forced off already. Panzergrenz with that machine gun on the front of their half track, doing a decent job. These Panzergrenz, 2 Veteran C, coming in very, very nicely here. In TANNER's deck, he does bring them in at 2 Vet. So those are able to put down a lot of damage at range with their double MG42s. The 2 Sitzerungs now going to be able to freely push into the town. No longer is there any M42s covering the main road. So any infantry that Mimile wants to play into the town can get there nice and easy. But, oh, Jagdpanther taking care of one of the Panthers here. Very nice indeed. Now looking for the kill onto the Stug M43, but gets penetrated itself. This is not good news for the Jagdpanther. Actually re-aims towards the Panzer 3M. The Stug M43 is just getting shot after shot here. This Jagdpanther bouncing that shot. The Panzer 3 does go down. Stug M43 not able to find the last shot. Mimile playing with fire there, that's for sure, as that big gun was firing towards it. But meanwhile, on the top side, the Panzergrenz have managed to dismantle the citadels of Mimile and the standard grenadiers. The B2 not able to get out of the way of the Panzerfaust in time. It looks like control of this map, particularly on this top side, is primed to fall in favour of TANNER. Particularly with the M43 putting pressure on the Jagdpanther, which has gone down. I assume TANNER just chased that and got the kill. Unfortunate for Mimile, because that takes away a lot of his mid-control. The IG-33 can kill the Stug M43 though, so he does have to be a bit careful about that. And the Stug M43, since it does lack HE shells, will run out before it kills the IG. So the IG could just be used here to take care of that. Also the 88 is another good choice to take care of the M43. So whilst this has killed the Jagdpanther, it's not really going to change anything in the middle of the map right now. Here comes the wave of Panzergrenz. There's also a Pioneer in here, up against the Citadels and the Grenadiers. The quality of infantry is certainly in favour of TANNER, and probably will be for the rest of the game, because at this point, I think Mimile has used up all of his close-range infantry. Like, he has Sturm Pioneers, he has Sostrup, but that is it. There's one problem that you have with the 352nd, and whilst it has great open range control, TANNER can really exploit the fact that there's no close range infantry for these engagements. So the Grenadiers and Panzergrenz absolutely demolishing these units. The Pak 40 here getting taken care of by the M42s and Jagdpanzer. Now the Jagdpanzer here might be able to get line of sight onto the Stug 3, and the Stug 3 will struggle to kill that. The machine guns of the Panzergrenz actually took out the SDKFZ-7 too, so there is now available like aircraft that can come in for TANNER that can do a decent chunk of damage, like the Fokker Wolves and the Ju-87 bombers. Although I think both of the Ju-87 bombers are now dead, but definitely the Fokker Wolf bombers can exploit the fact that the SDKFZ-7 is not there. So any pesky infantry that do arrive, like the Sturm Pioneer for example, will just be able to be killed off. So it looks like there are Sturm Pioneer still available for the time being, but he will definitely be getting low on reserves of those. Stug 3 forced to back off at a really inopportune time. Because the Panzergrenz are running towards him, he can't just sit there and die to the Panzerfaust. He has to back up. Lucky for that not to die, as it comes under fire from 3 tanks. Takes one side shot. On the bottom side, control is in favour of Mimile. And Mimile here, I think he's purposefully made sure that he controlled this bottom side town throughout the game, because he knows how annoying it is to take back. This area for TANNER, he's managed to hold on to this flag for the time being. Mimile bringing in more citadels to try and push back. He's going to be very reliant on these 105s to pin down the units here before he pushes back in. Here comes the Nebelwerfers, and those Nebelwerfers are placed extremely badly. That is unfortunate. Whilst they will manage to pin the Panzergrenz, you can see that TANNER's not even falling back. He's not too worried about them taking damage. This Panzergrenz, it is probably going to get killed off, but it's these M42s and the Jagdpanzer that he's worried about. He wants to try and keep eyes on the Stug so that he can brute force his way through here and find some kills. Now this map, incredibly slow map, and you can see that by the way that it plays out. Just this flag here on the top and the bottom are usually the ones that are contested, and potentially the town. So not many flags to able to flip either way. Focke-Wulf 190 did come in for the bombing strike, but the 88 actually managed to get the job done. IG-33 meanwhile moving forwards in the centre with an attack move order, has brought itself out of cover So these 81mm mortars might start causing problems once again. Now it looks like the Nebelwerfers previously did manage to get kills onto both of these 81mm mortars, so that is a little bit of a pain for TANNER. But the Guila able to get the shot first onto the IG-33, and I would assume the IG-33 didn't have AP shells turned off, so it wasn't automatically firing at the Guila. Big M43 backing off into deeper cover. Here comes the Panzer supporting this push on the top side. Mimile has managed to get the Slutsk into a decent position up here, but he's definitely playing on the back foot. Meanwhile in the town, looks like the Siderungs did get the better of the remaining defensive infantry, and the Sosterberetta getting mown down in the streets as they do not use cover to move forwards. Or the Siderungs with the Granatbuchse making short work of the armor of that paper-thin Slutsk M42. Focke-Wulf 190 did manage to get a bombing strike onto the Siderungs here. And now the Panzer B2 just holding the line against what's left. There is a Panzer IV on the way, which will be tough for the B2 to deal with. So it looks like TANNER has a plan. But at the moment, whilst TANNER seemed to have the advantage in kills, I would say, throughout the game, hasn't managed to break down the tickets enough just yet. Currently 15 minutes 45 seconds left on the clock. So TANNER will be hoping that he can keep his flag advantage here, because it will push him over in terms of tickets. Siderungs getting taken out very quickly. The MG42 that was capping the flag in the center, though, does go down. It's going to go back to a 12-12 now. Panzer IV kills off the B2 on the bottom side. It's going to be very difficult for the players to pay attention to this whole map, because you play from literally each side to each side. So there will be cases like here where this B2 does get picked off. The other thing that we got to consider here, that now the B2 is dead, the numbers of infantry are massively different. The Skren's only got 1 man left, the Siderungs are 2 men, the Flammenwerfer only 1 man, and it's like multiple pioneer squads now moving their way. The Slutsk's trying to do its best to whittle them down, but I'm afraid that this Siderung might not be able to get there in time to stop the flag going back in favour of TANNER on the bottom side. 259s moving across the open here. Not good with the 88 on the other side. Grenadiers now falling, and Siderungs to TANNER. More and more kills going in favour of TANNER. Now we see the Guila managing to get a fire position shot towards the 88. But here go the Nebelwerfers. These Nebelwerfers are actually really well placed this time. Panzerschreck goes down. The infantry goes down here. Was that one of the vehicles went down? Forces back the infantry temporarily. Mortar fire coming in for the 88 is really wants to get rid of that. And the Pioneers finally clearing out the Flammenwerfer. Now the Siderungs having to push back in. Panzer IV gets its first shot on target. Can it get its second one on target? It cannot. Neither do. That's actually unfortunate. Panzer IV fires first. Both of them going to trade. I think in this case, it's definitely more beneficial to TANNER, that trade, because not having the Slutsk here makes it very difficult for Mimile to support his push into the town, whilst TANNER's already in the town, so he doesn't need that fire support so much. But the Pak 40 actually finding the kill on the SDK-72 is going to open up the bottom side once again to those Focke-Wulf strikes. Mortar fire actually did a fantastic job killing off some Siderungs there, as I was going down to the 88, good kill by Mimile. He's trying to push back in again with the Siderungs, but his 352nd pick really not giving him the infantry value that he needs. It's really, really tough for him to deal with at this point. The Pioneers moving through here are going to be able to surrender the Siderungs most likely, and even if they don't surrender, they're going to take a HE grenade to the face eventually. Marder 3 gets a free couple of half-track kills. Panzergrens with the spear through coming through. Looks like Tanner here trying to push his luck, trying to get onto these 2 flags. If he can grab these 2 flags, that's going to be a 15-9. That would be very, very useful. Push him to a double tick. Panzerfaust gets the job done, but the Sturm Pioneers cleaned up the Speertrupp very quickly. Looks like Tanner's push up on the top side has finally been broken down. The Stugs managed to get into a good position here, used up all of their HE ammunition, and in this case, this Stugs actually used up all his MG ammunition as well. The 2 Nebelwerfers, of course, helping in that endeavour. So, very back and forth. Again, I feel like throughout the game, Tanner has been the one to sit with the extra kills in his favour. But the play by Mimile on the bottom side to specifically capture this flag has allowed him to stay ahead for the longest amount of time. We're getting to the point now where Tanner's going to take over in tickets, and that will be really, really bad news. Nebelwerfers trying to engage the Grille on the hill, not quite getting the job done. IG-18 looking to engage any infantry caught out in the open. Stugs now moving forwards, but don't have really any ammo to give fire support onto enemy infantry. So, not ideal. Those Nebelwerfers haven't really moved for like the entire game. I assume he's thinking that Tanner can't get his mortars in range to kill the Nebels. But technically, I think if Tanner moved them up to where the Stug M43 is in the light cover here, he could probably mortar those. Hasn't tried it though throughout the whole game, so no reason for Mimile to move them. Sicherungs have been broken down in this town now, giving another flag back in favour of Tanner. And Tanner now sitting at a 15-9 as his Panzergrens do take the flag in the open. The Black 41 might be able to stop that temporarily, but this Grille looking for the kill. See that Tanner is specifically fire positioning short of the Flak 41 so that the Flak 41 cannot fire back whilst his HE is able to land on target. He's able to get a little bit of damage done there. The next shot might just get the kill, and that'll be another AA piece dispatched of Mimile's. So now the Focke-Wulfs definitely able to come in wherever they please, and that is something that URI can keep bringing in more and more of as the game goes on. Grille still firing here. Nebel's now coming in, all looking for the 81mm mortars once again. Will they be able to find it? They do find one. It's just a shame that these mortars died later in the game, because if Mimile was able to shut them down earlier, it would have made it very, very difficult for Tanner to break down a lot of these support weapons that he has been hitting, like the 88s, like the IGs, those kinds of things. Jagdpanzer being a brick. But the infantry here, the Sicherungs, might be able to find side shots with their Granatboxers. Doesn't matter, as the IG-18, I think, actually found the side shot there, as the Jagdpanzer reacted to the Sicherungs coming through the tree line. And look at these Panzergrens. There is a lot of Panzergrens, and they are not stopping at the edge of this town. They are just going forwards, and these 2 Sicherungs really not in a good position to stop this. The Stug 3 might just prevent Tanner from coming out into the open. Yeah, Tanner's done a good job of securing this bottom side. The Pioneer's just going to chill there. He's just trying to check. Look at this cheeky little recon play around the side. This poor motorcycle. Taken out by the Pak 40. Here comes the Focke-Wulf immediately for the bombing strike onto the Pak 40. Doesn't actually find the kill. But good damage nonetheless. So up here, Mimile has actually found himself local superiority with his Sicherungs, which is not something I expected to see. But now we see multiple Panzergrens on the way. Oh, Nebelwerfer once again. Oh, bang on. The first rocket hitting the mark. Very, very nice indeed. And Mimile still punching back, but Tanner's control on this map unfortunately falling ever more in his favour for Mimile. The amount of Panzergrens coming in the late game is just incredibly difficult for Mimile to match. And that has been the primary problem throughout this game, is the infantry disparity. Like, Tanner has Stosstroop, but, you know, he's had Berettas. And Mimile's Stosstroop, they've only got MP40s, and I think they have PPSHs. Like, then you have Grenadiers, but then URI Tanner has Panzer Grenadiers. And so everything that Mimile has in the infantry tab, URI has better. And that is not something that Mimile can really sustain throughout this game. These engagements are only ever going to get worse. The Stugs are trying their best to make up the difference, but now the Focke-Wulfs are just free to do what they like. But they're actually even coming in for strafing runs. That's one hitting the Marder 3 there. So there's not many Citadels left in this push. They might be able to kill off the M42, but the two Panzergrens coming round in their half-track on that top side. Big push came through in the centre as the 250-19 managed to get into position here. Oh, and managed to find a penetrating shot, but not enough to get the kill. These two Panzergrens, though, they were just sat there taking tons of damage as they run away from their burning half-tracks. So 14-10, Tanner in the lead when it comes down to tickets. Citadels are going to be engaged by the Panzergrens here. That leaves him with 2 squads left. Once these Citadels are dealt with, the flag falls back in favour of Tanner. He's also going to probably be able to secure the flag in the middle, because the Marder is under threat and actually gets killed off by the machine gun of the BF-109 G8. So there's the flag there. Oh, but the Pak-38 punching back once again. Never count out Mimile. The Pak-38 getting the job done. IG-18 actually in a really strong position here. Nothing really to counter it. So a lot of the infantry that's going to be out in the open will be taking a ton of damage. It's very required right now because both of these Stugs have run out of HE ammo once again. MG42 actually cleaning up the Panzergrens and the Speertrupp out in the open, and more Citadels piling in here. But these Panzergrens, if they get onto the edge of the heavy cover, will actually be able to dispatch of a lot of these Panzergrens, or Citadels, sorry, before they cause issues. But back to 12-12 as the Citadels push through here. But I feel like there's a lot of sort of desperate positions for Mimile right now. Nothing solid. But then again, neither player really has a solid amount of units left on the map at this point. They've really just been going at each other like crazy. As soon as the Citadels is pushed back, flag goes in favour of Tanner once again. 13-11 continues to take ahead. And these Panzergrens, as I mentioned, absolutely mowed down the Citadels. No chance whatsoever. It will only continue to take more damage as they retreat. And these Citadels, looks like the numbers maybe starting to get the better of Tanner. I think the Panzergrens of Tanner, they are obviously higher veterancy, so they can definitely deal with these low veterancy units, but the numbers overall, late game, can potentially be a problem, I guess, for Tanner to deal with. We got 3 minutes left on the clock. This is actually an incredibly close game. IG-18 looking for more kills, but Mimile, he needs to find more flags. The Grenadiers need to get on top of this flag. He probably needs a double tick even of his own, Mimile, to get ahead of Tanner again. Because in the SD League rules, we've got to remember that tickets win. If you are ahead in tickets, you win the game. So even if Mimile were to get ahead in flags right now, and the game calls it a draw, it's in fact not a draw, because there are no draws in the Steel Division League. it would go in favour of Tanner because he would be ahead on tickets. So Gren's going to be finding the Beobachter that was chilling there for the entire game. Will they go down though? It looks like the Beobachter actually getting the better of the Grenadier, and if the front line goes over the Grenadier, would actually surrender them. These Panzergrens not close enough to make that happen. Only 2 minutes remaining. The Citadung's trying to get into the town here. Panzergrens on the top side getting taken out, but the Citadung's struggling to make ground themselves. Focke-Wulf still coming in for strafing runs. Since that Focke-Wulf's not going to be able to be reloaded before the end of the game, Tanner just using the rest of its 20 more ammunition to get these strafing runs in. On this top side, Tanner doesn't really have much to lose, so he can just attack move everything up and try and capture that flag. Whereas on this bottom side, you can see that Tanner's really putting his effort in here to stop Mimile from getting any flags back in his favour for the rest of the game. And Gren's going down there, Citadung's going down. The remainder of these Citadungs and Grens dying. Looks like it's well over for Mimile. And we're probably going to see a game 3, which is very cool. There we go. Mimile surrenders after 48 minutes and 58 seconds. What a game that was. Absolutely wonderful game. In the end, Mimile actually getting ahead on kills, 4,880 kills to 4,620 losses. Very nice indeed. I think Tanner was ahead for a lot of that game. Then towards the end, when it started to get really scrappy, the Nebelwerfers were allowed to get on target of the mortars. That found Mimile a lot of kills. You know, a lot of the key units, Panthers, M42s, you know, all died. So Mimile was starting to find kills back, but it wasn't enough. And it wasn't decisive enough to give him the map back. The guerrilla really, really strong in the middle of the map. The Panzergrens, though, finding so much value, and so did the 81mm mortars. They were very, very useful for Tanner throughout this game. The Jagdpanzer finding lots and lots of kills. Just really, really hard for Mimile to deal with in this matchup. Had to really rely on the Jagdpanther, and the Jagdpanther did a good job. It killed like the Panzer III and the Panther A. The Nebels actually really did well for themselves in the end, although there were some questionable original strikes. I would have liked to have seen those Nebelwerfers like initially be used to deal with like the SDK of Z71 and the mortars earlier. Instead of just kind of like firing blind into tree lines that he wasn't even going to push yet. The Flag 41 here, and doing okay in the middle of the map. But yeah, really, really nice. Great game. Fantastic game. And it's always nice to see series go to a best of 3. So we will be moving on to the third game after this. But that's it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.